Scarlett, congratulations on coming up with a really fascinating design for a digital color wheel. Your RGB colors for the primaries and secondaries are right on. The intermediate colors are not all fully saturated. I can tell that just by looking at them, though I did take the color picker to them as well. Now, your painted color wheel, well, there's the problem. It wasn't painted, I'm quite sure. It looks as though it was made with Crayon. And mixing with paint and Crayon are not quite the same, and I have a sneaking suspicion you had a violet stick of Crayon or oil crayon or whatever it was you used as compared to the business of mixing the violet from the couple of primaries, red and blue, likewise probably with the green and so on. Hello, Jessica. Your RGB values for the primaries and secondaries in the digital color wheel are right on. I did review the same version in the discussion, so I'll encourage you to take a look for notes there. Among the things I said were to beware of cutting off the image with the edge of the composition. Also, perhaps if you wish to change scale with your shapes, depress Shift to constrain or maintain proportions so that the stars do not get bent out of shape. For example, you can eliminate stroke from Illustrator files for the time being. We'll experiment with that in week 5 and 6. Now, I understand that you're perfecting your painted color wheel. The colors here look pretty good, except maybe the oranges could have more variation. For example, consider that yellow-orange could be a great deal lighter. When mixing colors, start with a light color and add the darker one to it. I know things can be tricky with yellow. Well, hello, Ashley. I can see what you did with your digital color wheel here, leaving the primaries and secondaries without a texture and adding the texture to the intermediates. The RGB values for the primaries and secondaries look good. One issue with that texture is that it is not permitting me to get a fully saturated read in the color picker for your intermediate colors, and indeed those all should be fully saturated. Looking at the painted color wheel, well, I can sense that this scan is slightly washed out in color quality. However, I would say that your violets are too dark. See my note in the discussion about adding a tiny touch of white there. And in other cases, perhaps the interval could be evened out just a tad. For instance, orange and yellow-orange look a lot alike, and so do green and blue-green. Shauna, this is a very pretty digital color wheel. Simple, but also exacting in its layout. All of the colors are fully saturated, and the RGB values are good for the primaries and secondaries. Let's see, with your painted color wheel, well, you have confessed that this wasn't painted and that you are on an island in the middle of the ocean and that acrylics were not available. Despite that, you've done a pretty convincing job of filling in the colors. Looking at this scan, I would say that there could be greater interval between red and yellow-orange and also between blue and violet. Those colors are looking quite similar. Please also listen to my remarks to Scarlett. You guys who aren't using paint, perhaps you're just choosing a green color pencil, for example. You don't get the full effect of the lesson that way, unfortunately. Hello, Trisha. Your digital color wheel has a very nice layout. I enjoy the idea here. However, the colors are not just right. Please take a look at the diagrams at top right. Notice the paint color wheel and the digital color wheel are distinct and different. On the digital color wheel, cyan is opposite red. Also, some of your colors are fully saturated, but not all of them. When we see a tint like a pale yellow, that will be a desaturated color. Now, onto your painted color wheel. Well, there's some problems here. I know you said you struggled because you had paints that came in a kit. It seems as though the paints that did come in the kit weren't even the basic set of primaries, even if those might have been a little inferior for having come in a kit. I don't see yellow anywhere here. There's not a good yellow, and that is interfering with the whole project. Also, we need a red. It's like a stop sign red. It seems as though you have a quinacridone red, which is good. I feel as though the blue is dull, and the green looks fantastic, but I have a sneaking suspicion that that came straight from a tube rather than being mixed, given the blue and the yellow that you have here. Lena, this is a very nice painted color wheel. Let's see, suggestions wise, I have an idea that you may have added a tiny touch of white to the blue-green. That's one place where I wouldn't use white to lighten the color. If you need to lighten your blue-green, try adding a little more yellow. It might be that the red-violet could have a little more red in it, and that the yellow and yellow-orange could be a little more different. However, I appreciate the neat presentation and the colors, which are in fact quite good.